Welcome back to Knucklehead Garage. Today we're focused on rat rod once again. We are pretty much done with the chop top. As you can see, I've got a lot more final welding to do, but we are gonna look under the hood and try to figure out whether we can get this engine going. First things first, we're gonna see if this thing actually even turns over. I've already done one thing. I've taken the spark plugs out, put a bunch of Marvelous Mystery Oil in them, but I'm gonna do that again. I'm gonna put a little bit more juice in there just to make sure it's lubricated before we actually see if it can turn over. All right, so I have developed one trick. Maybe you guys do this. Put a little Marvelous Mystery Oil in there. If any of you guys have kids, got plenty of these guys at home, syringes. Makes it a lot easier to know how much you're putting in, but also get it right in there. We are also going to just check the oil, make sure there's something in there. I've had this in my shop for about a month and a half and I've seen no leaks. So, well, that's good. Looks like it's almost full and it actually doesn't even look like it's that dirty. That's another good sign. All right, so let's see if this turns. Maybe not. Goes a little bit both ways. All right, I'm gonna go get a cheater bar. Add some torque. Oh, broke through something there. We'll be happy if we get like a full rotation. All right. Yeah, it's actually feeling pretty smooth now. I'm pretty confident I've gotten full rotation. So, because I'm not going to be able to start the engine just by hand cranking it, I'm going to try to see if I can get the starter to actually work. And I did get the cheapest 12-volt battery I could get just for this purpose. So I'll get that installed and see if I can actually get it cranking with the starter. So this originally was, or maybe even still is, a 6-volt positive ground system, which means the chassis is actually positive and the rest of it is grounded, which is very weird. I'm gonna keep that, or assume that's the case here, but I am putting a 12-volt battery in here because I need a little bit of extra juice, or I assume I need some extra juice to get the starter going. The points and condensers, they're probably still 6-volt, but I think a little bit of extra voltage there probably won't hurt anything. Let's see if I can get these cleaned up and hooked up. It's pretty cool. I've actually got some lights on the dash, which I've never seen before. Got the speedometer lit up. It's pretty neat. All right, so I'm gonna play around with these guys. Woo! Okay. All right, one thing I am gonna do, because I had issues on the last truck with the valve train, I wanna take a look and just make sure what the state of the valve train is, which does not look good. Looks like there's some rust in there. So maybe I'll just pop that valve train cover off real quick and see how it's doing in there. It's definitely looking a little crusty. I probably should take this off, try to remove any of that extra crust that I can before I actually start trying to make this thing go. All right, that actually cleaned it up way better than I thought, which is great, as you can tell by all of the crap on the ground. I am going to try to lube everything up a little bit just with PB Blaster. Just get the connecting rods, the valve springs, which hopefully should seep down to the valves themselves. Just to get some fresh lube in there. I've seen every valve move, which is awesome, which means there are no stuck valves. And I did spend the 20 or 30 bucks just to get some new spark plugs. So I figure let's put our best foot forward here and hopefully we can get this thing turning over. I'm gonna take one out, hook it up to one of these wires, spark plug wires coming from the distributor to see if I'm actually getting spark. All right, so I'm not seeing any spark there. So let's dig into the distributor and see if we have any spark going on there. All right, so if I open up the point, just moving this arm a little bit. There is spark. Oop, and I just got shots. Crank the motor again. I'll take a close look and see what if these points are actually opening up the right dimension. All right, that's good, and there is spark there, so that's good. So now we have to travel downhill and see why we're not getting spark through the spark plug wires. Since this is used, it does look like it has some wear. I'm just gonna go through and do a little bit of sanding on where the rotor makes connection. Try to clean those up just a bit. Oh yeah. Cool, so we got spark at least in one wire. Now we gotta figure out what's going on with the rest of them before we start adding gas. So we just ran through all the spark plugs and they are all giving spark. So we're gonna actually get this buttoned up. The next step is going to be getting gas to the system. And I'm going to have to steal the carburetor from Wally outside, put him on here, and see if I can actually get this thing to turn over. It's pretty sweet. Got a little extra gas there. This thing's going to be primed and ready to go. Let's do it. I think we're ready to try this thing out. All right, go for it.
Going for it.
Oh! I don't have the vacuum hooked up. That may do something. Now that we've got the vacuum line hooked up, let's see if that did anything. Starter fluid. Choke it. Not yet. I'm done swapping the carbs. I had to put it back on Wally to get him in the garage. I got it back here on Rat Rob. And I was thinking, I initially forgot to put the vacuum line on, which is now reinstalled. But this truck did have vacuum, or does have vacuum wipers. So I've removed that line thinking maybe there was a leak somewhere there and I've plugged it up. So maybe it's a vacuum issue. I don't know. I'm gonna give it a crank now that the battery's a little bit fuller and see if I can't get this thing to fire over. No spark. No spark. I wasn't getting spark at the spark plugs. Trace that back. I wasn't getting it at the points in the distributor. I did have a new 12 volt coil because I thought maybe that was the issue. So that's in there now. I cleaned the point. It looks like I'm getting spark there. And I did just confirm I'm getting spark at the spark plugs. So I'm going to give it one more shot. I don't have the fuel on yet, but I am going to spray a little bit more starter fluid down there. All right. It works. Oh my God. Yeah, no exhaust, by the way, so it's gonna be super loud. Maybe I should put some earplugs on. Sweet! Now I've got the gas pedal hooked up so that it's not wide open, and that's what was happening before. The throttle was just stuck open. I did have to sand down the points one more time. I am getting spark. So I'm gonna give it one more try and see if I can get it to run more than a couple seconds, maybe even idle. Let's see. I am psyched to hear this engine run in who knows how long, and actually idling nonetheless. I still have a little bit of work to do to see how healthy it actually is. I'm going to do a compression test now that it's run a little bit, but I'm not going to do too much more until I figure out whether I'm actually going to use this engine in Rat Rob moving forward. I did find a company that makes a product that could boost horsepower and torque on this thing considerably. So we'll see if we can make that happen. So plenty more content coming up on the drivetrain. Now that the engine's running, I can actually lift up the rear wheels and try to run it through its gears and see if that actually works. So that'll be coming up. I've got a whole lot more work to do. Final welding on the chop top, which is coming up as well. And then I'm actually going to turn my focus to the suspension. I got to figure out how to lower this guy, how to bring that rear axle back a little bit. So stay tuned for all that. This thing's gonna be on the road in the springtime. So thanks for tuning into this episode. If you guys like this stuff, make sure you subscribe, share, comment, like, all that good stuff, and I'll catch you on the next episode. See ya.
You have them backwards.
Again, positive ground.